Hey, friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Going In Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to right here at youtube.com/Steve and Larson. Available wherever podcasts can be found, and of course, taped live at the Twitch at twitch.tv/Steve and Larson. Quick programming update. Tomorrow, we're going to be watching the Zicky Dice Outlandish Paradise show live. It's going to be available on Zicky's Twitch channel, free, gratis for everybody. So you don't have to worry about paying for a pay-per-view or nothing. Just swing on by our channel at around 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Turn on Zicky's channel, and then boom, we're all going to be watching it together. Should be a real good time. So swing on by and check that out. Also, today, a brand new issue of the Kip Up Weekly over there at the patreon.com/Steve and Larson. Don't have time to keep up with all the wrestling news? Then check out the Kip Up. We've got all the wrestling news from the week, our takes on that news, all the results from the week of wrestling, and our must-see matches, our must-see segments, and now Friendo news. So updates on the Friendo Predictions G1 for the month. We've got updated Numbers Don't Lie rankings. All that stuff and more. Patreon.com/Steve and Larson. It's the weekly newsletter. It's the Kip Up. Go check it out. Top of that, it's a great way to help support Going In Raw.
Truth. That is true. We got a couple news stories here today before we get into our SmackDown and AEW Rampage recaps. First, Jon Moxley. He's been off our television sets for a while, taking care of himself, going to rehab. Hopefully he's healthy, happy. He's going to be back in the wrestling ring very soon. In fact, next weekend, GCW announced today that Mox is going to be taking on Homicide for the GCW title at the Hammerstein show next weekend.
That's awesome. That's great. Had to take some time off. Like you said, hopefully that means that he's happy and healthy now, or at least on the road. And that's great. He's been missed. That's going to be a hell of a show. That's next weekend?
Sunday, I believe.
Next Sunday? We 23rd. Should check that one out. That's sort of a big deal show. That's a big deal show.
It's a pretty massive show for GCW. It's their first time on traditional pay-per-view, I believe, right?
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah,
okay.
They got a pay-per-view distributor for this show.
Awesome. Very cool.
That's really huge. That's massively huge for them to be able to be available on traditional cable outlets. People be scrolling through like, oh, what's this GCW business about? And they can order it. GCW get some of that money and then potentially get new viewers. That's great for them.
Does that still work? This is a silly question, and I'm not even really asking you, but like,
but you are going to ask.
How does that actually? Well, because conversations start via questions. You think that really happens a lot these days? People scrolling their pay-per-view listings and they come across it and they're like, "Oh, what's this?" Click.
No, I've done the first two parts of that where I just scroll. It's like it's night. You got nothing on the DVR yet to watch. You can't think of anything on demand that you're going to watch. So you start scrolling through the guide to see what's on. You just keep scrolling down and down and down and down and down and down.
Red Shoe Diaries.
I don't think that's still on. I don't know if Zalman King's producing television anymore.
Quite prolific.
You keep scrolling down, and eventually you get to the pay-per-view stuff.
Yeah.
And then usually at that point, I'm like, oh, I've gone too far. Time to go back up. Yeah. But if like one of the first things was something wrestling, I'd be like, oh, what's this? And at the very least, I'd hit info and see what the deal was.
Right. Absolutely.
So you never know.
Maybe it happens a lot. I don't know.
And maybe some people just don't like ordered stuff off Fight TV or whatever. I don't know.
Is it going to be available through what was it back in the day? Closed circuit.
Yeah.
Is it going to be available via closed circuit?
Closed circuit television, yes.
Did we ever figure out who got access to closed circuit?
Well, I think you had to pay for access.
Was it in your homes, or did you have to go to a place to watch it?
I don't know the answer to that question.
Welcome back, Jon Moxley. We're going to be watching that show. Hey, if you and I put our heads together, maybe we'll do a watch-along of it.
Yeah, maybe we can add it to our predictions for the month.
Hey, there you go. That's right.
I'm trying to find any way to make up ground here.
Hey, you know what? That's all good. Let's talk about this. The Elimination Chamber. This is hilarious news. I love this bit. So earlier this week, we learned via Fightful Select that WWE was planning on bringing back the Elimination Chamber, right? That happens every single year. But
usually it's February.
This year,
yeah.
It's in February. It's before WrestleMania now. Sure enough, this year they're doing a Saudi Arabia show in February. So you put two and two together. Boom. Elimination Chamber is going to be in Saudi Arabia. In this week's Wrestling Observer newsletter, Meltzer reported that WWE were looking to rename the structure to the WrestleMania Chamber. But then Meltzer later reported on Twitter that the latest proposed name change for the Saudi Arabia pay-per-view is the Annual Elimination Chamber. I'm actually totally fine if they call it like the WrestleMania Elimination Chamber. They did WrestleMania Backlash last year.
Yeah, and it was ridiculous.
Oh, come on. It was fine.
They're trying to make a B level pay-per-view seem like a huge deal. That's what it was.
Let it bleed out into the other pay-per-views. Who cares? Hey, you know what, man? WrestleMania is a huge name. It's got big sellability. It's got big marketability.
What better way to dilute that marketability by naming half your shows WrestleMania?
That's what. Listen, they're a content producer, man. They're a content company. They're the next Marvel.
I got an idea then. Maybe
of course you're gonna do that.
Listen to me. Maybe Werner Herzog was onto something. Maybe WWE should listen to him and just name all their product WrestleMania.
Why not?
Then I'd be on board with that.
It's probably got a better popularity score than WWE in general.
Yeah.
So why not? Absolutely. Start acting like, why do they call the next Ant-Man movie the Infinity War Ant-Man? The Infinity War Guardians of the Galaxy. Something like that.
I don't know. I don't know about it.
It's silliness.
I don't know about any of this.
It's a whole bunch of who gives a shit. But it's just silly WWE stuff. And, hey, the last Saudi show was actually a really fun show. I mean, I know we've sort of gotten away from criticizing how terrible this deal probably is.
Oh, it's terrible.
But
it is terrible. It's still terrible.
But they still run these shows. We still review them. Last one was pretty damn good.
Last one we had a charity thing for it, right? Yeah, we did. For St. Jude's Children's Hospital.
Yeah, we'll do the same thing this time.
Yeah, every time there is a Saudi show, we'll do a charity fundraiser for it.
Absolutely. That sounds good. Anyways, let's talk about, we had a SmackDown tonight. We had a Rampage tonight. We're going to dive into this SmackDown one. What was memorable about this at all? Lita was there. She's going to be in the thumbnail. She's going to be in the thumbnail.
It was cool seeing Lita back on television. I don't like it would be cool if she did come back for a period of time,
a run,
had a run, had some matches. I know I'm not gonna go into too many details because the story is still relatively new, but Sean Ross Sapp over at Fightful Select had a story about AEW trying to sign her last year for a run.
It's funny, just to interrupt real quick, it's funny how WWE, like the turnover on their women's stars, traditionally in the past, really. And I know Lita had some injuries back in the day because of the thing with the Dark Angel show. But it's interesting that they haven't really been more active about like, hey, you want to come back for an extended run, even if somebody's in their late 30s? Because on the dude side of things, there's a ton of them.
Or in your early mid 40s.
40s or in some cases 50s.
Yeah.
Brother.
Yeah.
So if she can go, that's awesome. That's great. Bring her back. Do you think, does Lita's segment tonight, her dropping Charlotte with a twist of fate, Charlotte being there in that segment saying, no, I'm going to win this thing. Do you think that motivates that Mania match as opposed to if they went with like a Naomi? Do you think this is a one-off thing for Lita?
I think it's probably going to end up being a one-off thing. I think what's going to happen is they're going to try to get maximum heat on Charlotte and have her basically eliminate all the legends from the match.
Oh, wow.
So much about SmackDown tonight, if I can pull anything from it, is that they were trying to create those little stories for the Rumble. Like you had Natalya and Aaliyah. That story is going to play out in the Rumble. I can scroll through my notes and probably find a couple other ones. And I, on one hand, appreciate they're trying to find these little stories to push for the Rumble. At the same time, a lot of these stories there's not a whole lot of weight to them. Yeah. And then once the Rumble happens, we're not going to see any of these stories ever again. For the most part. And so I'm kind of two minds about it. Is I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I don't know.
You know what? My thing is this. I like it because they're bringing so many people back who already have sort of ages old stories. You know.
Well, I'm not necessarily not necessarily talking about the Lita Charlotte thing. I think because it's Lita into Charlotte, that's interesting. I'm more talking about like the Aaliyah and Natalya stuff. Now Aaliyah's getting on TV. Yeah. That's cool. I'm not a huge fan of this Natalya Guinness World Records gimmick because it's so one note. It's so one dimensional. You see with this finish coming a mile away, and it's just going to lead probably to Aaliyah eliminating Natalya from the Rumble, and then they'll have a match afterwards, and that'll be the end of it.
Yeah, but listen,
that Natalya will probably win.
It gives two people who really don't have a lot of room to be on TV in the first place something to bite into for the Rumble.
And that's why I say I'm of two minds about it. In one sense, I can appreciate it. At the same time, I just wish there was meatier stuff. That's it.
Oh, I don't know. I think, look, I don't disagree, but I'm not sure how much time they have to tell a meaty story between Natalya and look, Charlotte Lita is a big deal. Sonya and Naomi, they've been building for quite a while now. You could argue they need to put a twist in that story soon. I imagine that something interesting might happen next week with Naomi's match against Charlotte, although it does make you wonder, why isn't Naomi going straight to Adam Pearce and saying, can you give me an explanation as to why your partner here is being such a dick, instead of just trying to confront Sonya and being thwarted every single time? I know. She has to mess with the thermostat in order to get her out of her literal jacket of protection, which is a weird concept in the first place.
Yeah, it is.
But look, if you're Aaliyah, and you've got all these other legends coming into the match, and they all have history with each other, and they're all going to have stories. I'm feeling pretty good right now about, hey, you know what? I'm not on TV very often. I got something. Something to work with.
This is her first singles main roster match, and she was brought up at the draft, so it's good. I'm not, she's getting TV time. I'm happy for her. And as I said, it's cool. They're trying to do stories. It just, it's me. I just kind of wish it was something a little more substantial.
Hey, man, you got to be somewhat realistic. This is a Dabbity E we're talking about here.
I know. I know what to say.
Let's see here. We got, otherwise, my goodness gracious, there was not,
there wasn't much there.
It was a fairly par for the course.
It was
SmackDown.
It was, especially the first hour was very light on wrestling. Very light on wrestling.
The four-way was pretty fun. The tag match was pretty fun.
But it was pretty short. And then Natalya versus Aaliyah, the actual match was 3 seconds long.
Well, it was a record breaker.
Yeah, I know.
3.7 seconds.
And then we got some lengthier matches in the second
Sheamus versus Ricochet was a fun match.
Yeah, it was fun.
Madcap is a fun wrestler. I don't know about, they had him. It's what's so weird about WWE is that you've got this like the fatal four-way tag match, and they just casually mention Jinder Mahal, former WWE champion. It's like, yeah, he is former WWE champion. Why is he here? And then later on in the card, yeah, Kofi's a former WWE champion. Why is he losing clean to Madcap Moss, who's a terrific wrestler, but he's just talk about one note. Oh my God,
I know.
Yeah. That guy could be doing much better stuff.
I know. Let's take a quick break here to get a word from our sponsor, BetterHelp. Several years ago, I was dealing with severe anxiety, and I learned how important it was to talk to a therapist, but I also learned that it can be really difficult to find the right person to talk to. Today, BetterHelp is providing a safe, convenient, and private online environment where your needs will be assessed, and you'll be matched with your own licensed personal therapist.
BetterHelp isn't a crisis line, nor is it self-help. It's professional counseling done securely online, and you don't have to limit yourself to counselors in your area. BetterHelp services are available worldwide, so you can find the expertise you need regardless of location.
BetterHelp is dedicated to facilitating great therapeutic matches, all without having to sit in another uncomfortable waiting room. You can send your counselor messages whenever you want, or you can schedule regular phone or video sessions. And BetterHelp has made it free and easy to change therapists if needed.
We want you to start living a happier life today. As a Going In Raw listener, you'll get 10% off your first month by visiting our sponsor at betterhelp.com/raw. Join over 1 million people who have taken charge of their mental health.
Again, that's BetterHelp, HELP.com/raw. I guess we can just jump into it. So it opened up, I thought we were going to get a Seth Rollins promo, because one thing they did pretty well tonight on SmackDown was really hype up the importance and the history of Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns. I know, we all know they're in the Shield together. their paths have crossed post-Shield several times. They did a pretty good job highlighting it. So they opened the show advertising their face-to-face, which would happen in the main event. And they cut to Seth backstage. I was like, oh, we're going to have a Seth promo. No, he just laughs at camera for a little bit, and the commentary starts talking over him. But then our first real segment of the show, Usos come down the ring for a promo.
This was pretty damn funny, to be honest.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. So Jay says, last week we went to war with the New Day. They beat them. They respect the New Day because they're the only team that ever pushed us hard. So Jimmy says now they let everyone know that they run the show. That everybody knows they're the best tag team. They let everybody know that they're the ones. And Jay says, but the grind doesn't stop. They should be celebrating, or they should be helping Roman out with his face-to-face with Seth. Jimmy says management is already lining up new opponents for him. Jay says there's a fatal four-way to determine their number one contenders tonight. And Jimmy says, let's bring them out. And he starts to introduce, in various ways, the competitors in this particular bout.
He had an amazing ring announcer voice.
Yes.
It was pretty awesome. Reminded me when Scott Steiner did ring announcing, but he just did it as Scott Steiner. Jimmy put on like a sort of a Michael Buffer voice.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty damn funny. So he introduced everybody. He got Los Lotharios, Cesaro, and Mansoor, Jinder and Shanky, and the Viking Raiders. So they all come down. They all get in the ring. And then Jimmy says, okay, remember the rules, everybody. The only rule to remember, we the ones.
Yeah.
and then they super kick a couple of the competitors.
Yeah, I think it was Eric and Mansoor. Yeah. And the brawl breaks out.
That was why I like the opening bit though, where he was saying yeeted them a lot. That was pretty funny.
Yeah.
They were definitely, they had a lot of energy.
They did. So the huge brawl breaks out. SmackDown rolls on. We come back from commercial. We get the match. The Viking Raiders end up getting the win. They hit Creo with the Viking Experience. Usos, who were on commentary throughout the bout, grabbed the mics. They're putting over the Raiders' win. They said, "Hey, the raid tonight was a success, but do you think you could raid with the Usos? Well, if you did, it'd be one and done."
Mm-hmm. I like the as SmackDown was about to roll on, they did a cool Tower of Doom spot, but it was nothing compared to the one we saw in Rampage.
Wow.
Holy shit, that was nuts, right?
Shit. Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, that was rad. So anyways, backstage, Sonya's in the general manager's office, and they're having problems.
Cold.
And it's too cold. They're having problems with the thermostat.
Yeah.
And so Sonya's talking to Naomi. Naomi says, look, man, I'm not going to let you mess with my career. You haven't given me one reason why you're hating on me. She says, but I'll give you one to hate on me. And she starts, balling up her fists. Sonya says, no, you won't, because as long as I wear this jacket, if you touch me, you're going to be fired. She says, you know why you annoy me? Because you come in here with your main character vibes when we all know you're an extra, which still is kind of bizarre and nebulous to say the least.
Yeah.
But something about her just rubs her the wrong way, I guess is what she's trying to say.
I guess so.
She says, unless you want to be removed from your Rumble spot or be fired, you need to get out of here. And Naomi leaves begrudgingly. Pierce walks in, is like, oh, man, it's freezing in here. What's going on?
Mm-hmm.
She's like, yeah, he starts fiddling with a thermostat like an idiot.
Yeah. So then we had a Sami Zayn promo. He's talking about the conspiracy against him. It's gone on too long. It all started back when he was robbed of the Intercontinental title. But now he's number one contender for the IC belt, and he'll get back what's his. He says last week a new cast member in this conspiracy showed up, Johnny Knoxville, and he throws to a video recap what happened last week with Knoxville. Sammy says, that's actually great. Knoxville's in the Rumble. I love it because I'm entering into this year's Rumble as well. See, Knoxville thinks he can do what I do, but he can't. But I can do all the things that Knoxville can do, and I'm going to show the world that when it comes to being a jackass, no one is better than Sami Zayn.
Crowd audibly laughs at that one, and then he says, wait, no, I mean, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that was good. That was good.
And then they roll the intro for In Zayn, his new Jackass. They even had like a Jackass ripoff theme song.
Minutemen's Corona, yes.
Yeah. And so Sammy he's got like a big pad, like a big mat, like on near the commentator's desk with like a big target on it. Mm-hmm. And on the other side of the ring up to the ramp, Sammy gets into a grocery cart, and he has two local pro wrestlers, PC recruits, whoever, get ready to push him down the ramp. And apparently the idea, and there's like an actual ramp.
Yeah. But
at the end
of
the
that's
ramp,
much too short to make it into the ring, much less over it.
And and Pat audibly laughs at he seems thoroughly tickled by this entire thing. Pat McAfee, by the way, we say this every week.
Fantastic.
He's so great. He adds so much energy and enthusiasm to a product that often is bereft of it.
Yes.
And so, Sammy keeps on hemming and hawing, saying he keeps stalling. Finally, they go, and right before he gets to the ramp, at the bottom of the ramp, he says, whoa, stop. He gets in the ring. Boogs shows up. And he's distracting Sami Zayn, and behind him is Shinsuke. Boogs has a brand new, fresh-looking haircut.
Yeah,
he looks amazing, man. He looks great. He's all flexing on Sammy and everything. And Shinsuke lays him out from behind. Boogs lifts him up, and he looks and he sees the mat with the target that's set up, and he chucks him into the mat there. And it's a bunch of whatever. But Sami Zayn is great with everything he does as well.
Yep. We go backstage. Aaliyah has an interview before her singles debut on the main roster. She's asked if she's nervous. She says, I'm all nerves ever since I was a little girl. All I've dreamed of is stepping in a WWE ring. I just hope I put on a good showing and hope I don't embarrass myself. And then she fakes vomiting.
Because last time she was in the ring for her debut, she threw up.
Yeah.
Ugh, poor thing.
So then Natalya steps in. Tells Aaliyah, you'll do awesome. There's no shame losing to me. I'm the winningest woman in WWE, according to the Guinness Book of World Records. Of course, she has her copy of the Guinness Book of World Records. And then Aaliyah just says, oh, I didn't know the Guinness was still a real thing. Yeah. And then Natalya glares at her, and then Aaliyah, her music plays, she walks off.
It's not out of line to think that Guinness is...
They don't have the show on anymore, do they?
No, there might be some sort of show on one of the many vast cable channels out there. They might have a robust YouTube channel for all I know. I don't know what they're doing these days. But every time I go to Target, around the beginning of the year, the end of the year, they got a brand new shiny holographic cover Guinness World of Records. They do it for the Christmas. It's a great gift to get for your kids. Yeah. It's full of captivating things like Face Off Flanagan. Or two-headed Chang.
That's such obscure references, man.
I can't even find video of that show back in the day with Face Off Flanagan. Yeah. I have found the video of Two-Headed Chang.
Oh, all right. I remember both those segments clearly. That guy just popped his nose off.
And it was like a black hole.
It was like whatever's behind your nose. That was what was there.
Sinuses and shit, I think.
Yeah. So then we had Aaliyah versus Natalya. So Aaliyah goes to the ring. We go to commercial. We come back. Natalya's backstage. She has an interview, and she says, the Guinness book is still a thing. My record symbolized 14 years I put into WWE, and that's why I'm the favorite to win the Rumble. She talks about her records. She says, tonight I'm going to set a new record for the fastest victory. I guess the previous record was 3.8 seconds for a woman to win a match in WWE. So Natalya goes out there before the bell rings. She attacks Aaliyah. Eventually, though, the ref tells Natalya to back off. She does. So the ref asks Aaliyah, can you compete? And Aaliyah doesn't say anything. Not a word. The ref goes, all right, can't compete. Calls for the bell. And so the ring announcer says Aaliyah can't compete. And then Aaliyah just springs up.
Yeah, it's like, whoa.
No. I could do it.
Yeah, I can do it. And
the ref says,
so the ref's like,
all right. And so
come back here. She's good to go.
The ring announcer says, all right, this match will happen. The ref calls for the bell. Aaliyah rolls with Natalya to get the win. And is announced that's a new record for the fastest win.
I think that's great. You know what? Good for Aaliyah. Now she's got, if nothing else, she's got that. Exactly.
Enforcer remembers the Guinness show. Mark Thompson was the host. That's correct.
Mark Thompson was the host, yeah. Wasn't he like the weather guy in L.A. or something?
Not the weather guy. No, he was the weather guy.
Was he the weather guy?
I think he was the weather guy.
He had a great voice.
So Sonya and Pierce are watching that all unfold backstage, but now it's like super hot in their office.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Then we get the Lita interview with Michael Cole.
Yeah. So she gets obviously a huge welcome, big giant pop. Before that though, they did have a great little video package.
Yeah.
The road to Reigns versus Rollins. And it is cool to see that. I mean, look, I like that WWE can reach back into their history. My only issue, I guess I'll just sort of bring this up now a little bit. that final segment. Well, I'll bring it up when we get there. I'll bring it up when we get there.
Fair enough.
But this showed it's interesting to see them back then, and they didn't do anything silly like crop out Moxley, Dean Ambrose. They didn't do the bit where he looked behind him after Seth laid out Roman, which is a great moment.
Yeah.
But I understand they don't want to focus on that
Too much. Yeah. Too much about.
But it's just funny to hear how far Seth has come along, because you remember Seth was not known as the big promo guy.
Yeah.
That was Dean Ambrose.
Yep.
And to see him talk back then and Reigns talk, and they sound kind of stiff.
A little timid.
And now, obviously, it's a lot different.
Oh, I know. It's like the timbre of Seth's voice is different.
It totally is. Yeah, his voice has actually changed since then, which is great. So anyways, Lita gets to the ring. Michael Cole's in there to interview her, and she gets a huge welcome. He mentions how influential she is for a lot of today's stars. He says, what do you think about coming back? She says, it's been a wild ride. I have more career highlights than I can count. Lists off a bunch of them, including main eventing Monday Night Raw in the first women's match to do that. She says, but I've never had an opportunity to compete in a Rumble match. So I was thinking I might have one run left in me. Plan on entering the Rumble, tossing over 29 people, winning, and then main eventing WrestleMania. Of course, that brings Charlotte. She says, by the way, Charlotte's outfit was stellar. It looked so futuristic.
It did.
She looks like $1 million, probably even more. She says, I didn't know it was Flashback Friday. This is so extreme. Isn't that what you used to say back then?
It's a small point, but I'll bring this up. Lita was in the 2018 Rumble. I know her point was she never got to compete in a Rumble in like the prime of her career.
In the prime of her career, okay.
I think that was the point. But I was like, when she said I never got to compete in a Rumble, I'm like, pretty sure she was in one of the early women's Rumbles. Yeah, 2018.
Okay. She said it's so fun reminiscing. She says, but I'm going to be in the Rumble, and when I win, I get to pick my opponent. So when I'm done, this run of yours is going to be over. So how are you going to handle the humiliation when I end your dream? And Lita says, how are you going to throw anyone over the top rope with that giant head you have? Of course, the crowd starts chanting giant head. Yeah. Charlotte says, it's funny because she had previously brought up Trish Stratus main eventing Raw with her. Charlotte says, it's funny you bring up Trish Stratus because back in 2019, she begged me for a match at SummerSlam. She left her family just to have that match so she can get one last little taste of that crowd adulation. She said, of course I said yes, and she put up a hell of a fight, but she lost. I broke her, and she was so broken, she retired. And at the Rumble, that's what I'm going to do to you. And then Lita fakes a slap. Charlotte flinches and then looks up, and then Lita actually drops her with a twist of fate, which was great to see.
It was great. Then we get a Sheamus interview. Megan asks him a question. He goes, well, I got a question for you. What's missing from this picture? He says, Ridge Holland should be standing beside me. Instead, he's at home. I think he said something like with the nose coming out the other side of his head or something like that. It was some very grisly
graphic
way to describe him in a broken nose.
Cronenberg-esque Ridge Holland comes back.
Truly, yes.
Face off Flanagan, Ridge Holland.
I know. He says, who's responsible for that? Ricochet. But that's all right. I'm going to put everything right, and we'll see how Ricochet likes it when he leaves the ring with a broken nose.
And then we had Sheamus versus Ricochet.
Ricochet got a new theme.
R.I.P. to the one and only. And, of course, I was getting some popcorn during his theme, so I found out on Twitter, have no idea what it sounded like. Could you please give us a brief music review?
Yeah, it was just different than his old theme. That's all I could tell you.
It just wasn't his old theme.
It wasn't his old theme. It's a new theme.
Did they have the ricocheting sound effects?
That was the one thing they kept, yeah. Because his name's Ricochet, so they're going to keep that.
Yeah. Well, that is his name. There was that cool bit where Sheamus was draped over the second rope, and then Ricochet did a moonsault onto him. That was neat. I like that. In any event. Oh, and then as SmackDown was about to roll on, Sheamus, evidently maybe trying to break Ricochet's nose with the ring, did the seesaw thing.
Oh, the catapult.
Ricochet's, the catapult, banging Ricochet's face into the bottom brace of the ring there. In any event, Sheamus ended up getting the win with a bro kick as Ricochet was trying to do a handspring.
Oh, that was great.
It was pretty awesome. And he picked up the win there.
Yeah. Then we are backstage again when Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville's office. It's still hot in there. Thermostat isn't working. Pearce starts twisting knobs and pushing buttons. It's like, I'm going to go talk to maintenance.
They should have taken advantage of the Kramer Seinfeld meme right now and had like the hot lights.
Oh, from the Kenny Rogers
the
roasters.
red lights from the Kenny Rogers roasters. Yeah, it's a big thing right now.
It is a huge thing. I noticed that. Maybe he should have checked on the smartphone, see if there's an app. He was a smart thermostat. That's why it wasn't working for him. Anyway, so he leaves to check with maintenance. So Sonya takes her blazer off, lays on the couch. Seemingly, like, as soon as that happens, Naomi walks in. And she's like
waiting for it or something? This was weird.
Says, I see you don't have your jacket on anymore. No jacket, no boss. And then just as Naomi's about to throw some hands, Pierce walks in, steps between them. And Naomi says, Sonya, you abuse your power. Everyone knows that I would have beaten Charlotte last week if not for you changing the rules in the middle of the match. And Pierce says, you know what? She's right. She deserved another opportunity at Charlotte. That match is going to happen again next week.
Yeah, that is really weird. Like, it always cracks me up to think, like, what are they thinking in like the writers' room / Bruce or Vince or whoever when they're like, okay, so was Naomi the one behind the malfunctioning thermostat? Was this a ruse to get Sonya out of her jacket, or did she think to herself, it's just really hot in there, so maybe she's going to take her jacket off? How would she know exactly, literally, the moment she did? There's a lot of weird plot holes going on here for this seemingly fairly innocuous segment.
I know, and it's like, who comes up with this?
Right? Yeah, who comes up with this shit? It's weird. Here's the thing. It's so small, but it gets me wondering, who comes up with this shit?
And here's
it's
another
so
thing.
Weird.
Here's another thing. What's the point in turning it cold before turning it hot? Why not just turn it hot to begin with?
Well, they walked in. They walked in and it was cold, right?
Yeah, at
like,
the very beginning it was cold.
Cold.
Here's the thing. Depending how cold it was, and depending on like the power of the compressor, the amount of area it's got to heat or cool, it could take a long time for it to get warm enough for people to make people uncomfortable.
Yeah. They're the general manager. They have to stick that office. Can they be like, oh man, the thermostat's weird out here. Let's go out to the hallway.
Yeah, I know.
Like, literally, why aren't they at gorilla position? Anyways,
doesn't make any
weird.
sense. Doesn't make any sense.
Who writes this shit, man? Oh, it's okay. We don't need to worry about that. People don't worry about that. Those are details. This is sports entertainment. I don't even know what voice I'm doing.
It's like an amalgam of Bruce and JR.
It's like a mix of Bruce, JR, and some Conrad in there, I think.
Maybe.
Some sort of Rawgate mutant of podcasts. After that, we had Kofi in the ring, and he had a proclamation from King Woods. Says Woods has a calf injury, so he's going to miss the Royal Rumble.
Earlier in the show, they said Woods tore a muscle in his calf.
That sucks. He's going to be out for probably a while then,
right?
I
think he said on G4 he'd be out for 4 to 6 weeks.
Oh, okay. That's not that bad. But he's going to miss the Rumble. However, the Royal Kingdom will have representation via the Hand of the King, Kofi Kingston. And then that brings out Corbin and Moss. Corbin talks some shit about wanting to eliminate Kofi. Says they haven't been this happy since they destroyed Drew's neck. They run footage of that, which makes me think Drew is probably going to come back unless they just want to run this into the ground, which is probably what they want to do. It's heat. So Moss tells a joke where he refers to the New Day as the Poo Day. And then Kofi says, I'm going to take a royal shit right on your forehead during this match. And so he refers to it as a deuce, but that's just a euphemism for a shit.
For poop, yes.
Yeah. And then we get Kofi versus Madcap. Matt, look, Madcap's terrific in terms of the performer. He's doing what he can. He's given a royal shit of a character to deal with. I just don't know if this character should be beating clean Kofi Kingston. Was that supposed to be like an eye rake to counter
the SOS?
Was it the SOS?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like did commentary mention that? Maybe because I was like waiting for them to say something.
They said something, but I don't remember if it said if either Pat or Michael Cole said went to the eyes.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I kind of like what Moss was wearing to wrestle. I kind of did. I like the suspenders, the short shorts. It's kind of funny.
It's very silly. Yes,
I was amused by it. It's the first thing that I like Riddick Moss. I think he's got a lot of potential. But in terms of what he's done, what they've done with that character, the first thing about what they've done with that character that I actually found somewhat amusing.
Okay. All right. Hey, that's something. That's something. Because I kind of agree with you. I kind of agree with you on that. If he keeps getting a bit more like, I don't know, surreal is always a good way to go.
I know. Get weird with it.
Absurdist is good.
Yes, get weird. Then we had our main event segment: Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns face to face. So Seth comes out first, Roman second. He asks the crowd to acknowledge him, and Seth says, "Yes, let's acknowledge this. Quite a moment. Hey, Roman, let's do it for old time's sake." So he throws out the fist. He wants the fist bump, and Roman just goes, "That's beneath me now." And Seth says, "Well, let's acknowledge the look on your face when I showed up in your office. I'm the last person you want to see. Our record of singles matches is quite one-sided. I've won them all."
Roman says,
the fact that they pointed that out makes me feel like, okay, Roman's winning this because
I know
he's got to get that dub.
I know.
Over Seth.
Yeah, that could be. So Roman says, Seth is out here talking about the past. Doesn't understand what's happening. I'm in God mode now. I'm the head of your table. I'm the greatest in my generation, the greatest universal champion of all time, which makes me the greatest to ever do this. And Seth says, I didn't come out here to rain on your parade. Came out here to acknowledge all of Roman's success, but I have a question for you. Can you look at yourself in the mirror at night and say that you did it all by yourself? Because that's the difference between us. Without Roman, I'm just fine. He asks Roman if he understands who the greatest is, because let's not forget, I created you, Roman, and I can destroy you. And he starts laughing. That really gets under Roman's skin. There's two things about this before we get to the finish of it. I love that Seth was really getting under Roman's skin with that stuff. I do. I wish that, because the Roman of before and the Roman now, they act like two different people, right? And generally speaking, in reality, people don't do that. They don't act like two completely different people. Sometimes there can be shifts in personality or whatever, as you evolve over time or whatever. Seth is the same way. Obviously, he is playing a completely different version than he was like a year ago even.
Yeah.
There's been an evolution of his character. It would be nice if there was some sort of dropping of the facade of who they are now, because I feel like when we first saw them, that was sort of who they really were, And then they sort of, as they dive deeper into the WWE pool over time, they sort of become who they need to be to thrive. And I wonder if I would have liked to see a little bit of a dropping of that facade or a reversion to when they were close and who they were there, just a little bit more than we saw today.
I will say this. We might have got a hint of this Seth based on one moment from The Shield when Seth emerged from behind Roman with that huge smile on his face. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's a good point. This
could have been an aspect of Seth all along. Like, I feel like I understand your point. I feel like the Roman character we get now is not too far removed from the Roman we had before, but now he's self-assured. He's 100% confident. There's no doubt in his mind that he is the guy,
Yeah, but when Seth says that stuff, you see him gritting his teeth.
Yeah, I know. There's still a bit of insecurity there. For the most part, either he is 1,000% confident or he's convinced himself that he's 1,000% confident. But there's still little things that is, that are in the back of his head still gets at him.
And the best Roman can come up with when he says, I've made you and I can destroy you is, you're a waste of my time. Look at you. And he doesn't speak to the fact. So maybe that is it. Maybe that's him running from who he was.
Yeah.
He says, look at you. You look like a clown. You sound like a clown because you are a clown. He says, you don't have the star power that I have. Let's be honest. If I wanted a superstar from Raw, I wouldn't have chosen Seth from your own house. I wouldn't even chosen you from your own household. If you wanted a main event WrestleMania, if I wanted a main event WrestleMania with a megastar, I would have chosen Becky. And that did not sit well with Seth. The Usos try to attack Seth from behind. He's got a spider sense, though. He's able to evade. He goes up to the table, to the commentary table. They try to attack him there. He goes, and then he goes right back into Roman's face. And as soon as they jump him, he beats feet.
It was pretty impressive. He did all that in dress shoes, too.
It was all that CrossFit parkour stuff,
I guess so, but dress shoes can be slippery on the bottom,
Oh, absolutely. You see when The Rock did that.
Oh yeah, the
people's
people's elbow
that
and
time.
slid across the ring pretty much. There's
That was
also a
rad.
Rampage tonight. There was some good wrestling. Fun enough show.
Yeah, yeah.
Trying to
New tag champions too, according to you. I had to leave because the main event. I didn't see the finish. Ah, you bastard! You got me.
Got you.
It was
You
such a
fell for it.
It was such a half-assed attempt.
Yeah, my heart wasn't entirely in it. We got a new challenger for the FTW Championship. Jay Lethal challenged Ricky Starks to a match. And then the Acclaimed dropped their newest music video.
I'll admit, I haven't always been a big fan of the Acclaim. This made me laugh.
This was pretty funny.
Yeah, two grown men going through a goth phase.
It was pretty funny. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. Even referencing some WWE stuff, the Buckle Bomb.
Yeah. Well, then Sting hurting his knee at Clash of Champions, too. They referenced that in there.
Yeah. No, it was fine. You know, it's and a little bit more of sort of the one thing that people are really they got something on their hands with this Wardlow stuff, man. Sean Spears, sort of just as an aside, as a throwaway statement, referring to Wardlow, who's standing behind him. As what? What did he say? A one move
wonder with 2 years of experience.
And Wardlow's behind him like, what?
Yeah, at the end of Spears' promo, he's like, "Come on, Wardlow, let's go." And Wardlow just goes.
Yeah, he gives him the double thumbs up right there.
He is going to destroy Sean Spears.
I can't wait. I actually really like Sean Spears' promo here.
I did too,
because he was right in the camera. I thought it was pretty good stuff. You know, a lot of people I've seen, it's so ridiculous. I've seen on Twitter saying, Sean Spears, you know, is no better off than he was in WWE. And I'm like, do you pay attention? Like, when he got called to main roster, he was literally just the number. Like he existed
his character was number 10. Yes.
It was. That's exactly what it was. And like, this dude was never going to be world champion, but man,
he could have been.
He's always there.
Did you see what his record was in AEW? It's 41-17. I know a lot of that's on Darkened Elevation. Yeah, it said 41-17.
Oh my god, that's nuts. That's really good. Holy shit! Yeah,
but here's the thing: like, is he winning championships? No. Is he on TV every week? Not every week, but he's on TV most weeks in a supporting role. But he's got a well-defined character. He's been given opportunities to flesh out that character. He's doing more interesting stuff than he ever did on main roster. He could have been NXT champion, though.
This is not a chance. This is the best counterpoint here. Beans from the East says, now his character is a foreign object. He's chairman.
There's something more.
It's physical.
It's more substantial.
It's not as nebulous as math.
Number, nebulous.
What does that mean? It's
you can't hold a 10.
Right, exactly.
You can write it down and hold it up, which he did.
I can't blast you in the head with the number 10.
No, unless you write it down on your chair, then hit him with it.
Right, but that's the tear. Oh, man. Anyways, it kicked off with Adam Cole versus Trent Beretta. Really good match between these two.
Yeah.
In the end, though, a bunch of shenanigans ensue, which lead Cole to get a low blow on Beretta and then gets him with the boom. To pick up the win there, and then there's like because there's like just a big brawl breaks out between everybody.
The rest distracted by that.
I like your notes here. The super click.
Yeah, redragging the super click.
It's the super click. Yeah,
super click. After that, we get a Thunder Rosa Mercedes Martinez video package. They haven't announced when this match is happening, have they? I don't think so.
No,
I don't think so.
No,
can't happen soon enough, as far as I'm concerned. This could be great.
Hey, let me ask you this really quick. Yes. Let me ask you this, because I've seen this out there. Revolution is coming up in early March.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Who do you think Hangman's opponent's going to be?
Mox.
Think it's going to be Mox? Do you think that is a bigger match? It probably is than Britt versus Rosa if they do Thunder Rosa versus Britt. If they do a title change there.
It depends on the build. I don't know what story they're going to try to do with with Mox and Page. I don't
Kind
know.
of depends on the build.
It depends on the build, the story.
Yeah.
After that video package, we got Shawn Spears versus Andrew Everett. This match was pretty short. Everett's looking for a springboard. Spears catches him, hits a C4, a Death Valley driver to get the win, and afterwards Spears dropped a promo. He asked Punk, "Are you really the best in the world?" He says, "What about me?" He says, "I've traveled the same roads. I've spilled blood. I'm the guy who wasn't supposed to make it. I'm the guy, but now I'm the guy Max sends to ensure a message is delivered, and more importantly, that it's understood. I'm the guy you don't see coming. There's a reason they call me the chairman. One swing, and I'll make sure you remember me forever." He says, "Next week, Punk, you're not going to be in the ring with a one-move wonder with 2 years of experience, but with a 20-year veteran." He says, "In this business, 7 years off is 7 years too long. Punk, I'm going to expose you."
Ooh. Never see him coming. After that, we had the Acclaim music video. It's making fun of Sting and Darby Allin for going through a goth phase.
Yeah.
It was pretty funny. They had like an NWO Sting there, not Jeff Farmer.
Not Stang, not Heath.
And not Heath, not Stang. Yeah. Mel D says, maybe it's Mr. Sting. Mr. Sting. Okay, how you know? Mel D, how you know? After that, we had Chris Statlander, Layla Hirsch, and Red Velvet versus Nyla Rose, Penelope Ford, and the Bunny.
It was
Nyla just throwing people around.
Yeah.
And it was that. Yeah,
it was can Statlander and Hirsch coexist? The answer is no. Things got quite chippy. Statlander has the advantage. He hit the Bunny with the Blue Thunder Bomb. She goes back to her corner to set up for another move. Hirsch tags herself in. They're arguing. Bunny pushes Statlander into Hirsch, and then Bunny rolls up Hirsch to get the win.
That submission move.
Oh, yeah,
Statlander
the spider crab.
Had Penelope Ford.
Ooh.
And that's, oh my God. She was, oh my goodness gracious.
Her neck was at a really bad looking angle.
I didn't think that it could bend that way. After that, we had this is bizarre. Dan Lambert did not talk because it was just a Men of the Year promo where mainly it was Paige and Sky, which was insane.
It was great.
Left us on Sky saying, "I don't care who holds the belt. I want the title. You, Sammy and Cody, figure out who the TNT champion is, and I'll be waiting for you."
He goes over again how it's been 200 and something other days since he's lost and over 300 days since he's been pinned.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be however many days it is till he faces Cody that he's going to remain that way, and then it ain't going to be that anymore.
Yeah, probably. We get the aforementioned Ricky Starks promo. He's interrupted pretty quickly by Jay Lethal. Jay says, "I'm the new guy, but I've been watching what's going on between Dante and Team Taz, and it makes me sick." He says, "Starks, I know it's not officially recognized by AEW. You don't defend that FTW title much, but I know it means a lot to you. Challenge you for the belt. I know you're going to have to. I know you're not going to be an answer today because you got to ask Taz for permission. But whatever Taz tells you to do the opposite." So Taz should say, "Oh, go ahead and defend it, Ricky."
Yeah, right. I had a hard time paying attention to Jay Lethal because Ricky Starks had a Garth Brooks shirt on. I was just staring at that. I love Ricky Starks. He's great.
He's great.
Apparently during, I guess it was like, maybe it was like during the Fight TV thing. I don't know what it was, but Taz said something along the lines of, "I don't give a shit about Ring of Honor." After that, we had the pre-main event interview between the Dark Order and the Jurassic Express. Reynolds and Silver pulled out some kazoos and started playing in honor of Christian, who used to do that. And then he mentions, "Oh, yeah, you're doing that because I used to do it. That's funny." And not impressed. He says, "There are levels to this game, and you're about to find out." And then Mark Henry says, "All right, time for the talking's done. It's time for the main event." And, of course, John Silver mimes it along with him, which is always pretty funny.
It was
This is a fun enough match.
This was a really fun match. All sorts of crazy stuff happening. That Tower of Doom spot was the damnedest Tower of Doom spot I've just about ever seen.
I've never seen them like stack people on people to do it.
That was a 4-person Tower of Doom spot.
Yeah.
And usually if it's 4, you got the one person on bottom with the power bomb and 2 people on either side for the superplex. This was stacked. 4.
Going upwards.
Yes. Up.
All they needed was like a trench coat.
Yeah, I
like
know.
a really long trench coat.
And it would look like Luchasaurus is just power bombing one person. Yes.
Yeah, and that person would be like Robert Ludlow. Remember the Guinness record for the tallest dude?
Yeah.
And they'd have the picture of the tallest dude standing on the Empire State Building with the smallest dude.
Yeah. Yep.
Because I think at the time the Empire State Building was like the tallest building in America or something.
Yeah, that sounds about right. At the end, though, Jurassic Express, they get the win. They hit their finish. Jungle Boy takes out John Silver ringside with a suicide dive, so Luchasaurus can get the pin on Alex Reynolds. Really fun match, though. Highly recommend checking it out.
Terrific stuff.
Indeed.
Absolutely. I have a question thread here on the Patreon, patreon.com/Steven Larson. If you guys can load up some highlighted questions as well, that would be terrific. Let's see here. For the it's great too, because usually for the question threads on Patreon, an added bonus, you get to see. I always face app a still from whatever episode I'm putting the question thread up. Mm-hmm. In this case, we got Lita, but with a mustache.
Interesting.
Unfortunately, with if the app recognizes that it's a woman, it doesn't let you make them bald. Isn't that a bummer? So
interesting.
Anyways, interesting stuff. Here we go. First up.
Wait, you can hold on. You can put a mustache on,
right?
But not bald.
A little weird.
All right.
I don't know what the deal with that is.
I don't know what the
Face app. Maybe I pay a monthly fee for Face app. Maybe they should get their shit together. Soak and Roast says, do you think AEW's current creative slump is due to the fact that they refuse to do more sports entertainment tropes? Because after all, there's only so much that you could do with a sports-based realism wrestling show. I kind of disagree with a lot of the premise of this question. I don't necessarily believe they're in a creative slump. I believe that they're in a signing lull because they have too many people and they just signed a lot of them, and that creates a lot of buzz. And then that honeymoon period runs. I don't really consider them to be in a creative slump, though.
No, I think the creative they're doing now is fairly consistent with what they've been doing for a while.
Yeah. I do take issue with anybody who says, I know that was the thing going into AEW, but it's not a sports-based wrestling program. It is not. It's more of just traditional pro wrestling. It's like it's like WCW back in the day.
Yeah. Yes.
Alex Foster asks, if you guys were wrestlers, how would you counter the what chants? There seems to be two approaches to it. Either alter the cadence of your promo so that you don't allow the gaps for the what, or you respond to it.
Yeah, but whatever your response is, it has to be good.
What would your approach be?
I'll just change the pattern of my speech.
Yeah.
That's what I would do.
What?
You see, because you can't what me if I just talk in a regular.
What? You're still
pattern.
Pausing though.
But my pauses aren't even.
Yeah. I don't know. I would probably.
Truth be told, I'm not that clever. So whatever my comeback is for the what chance would probably just instigate more what chance.
Oh yeah, I'd get massacred.
So I would just try to alter the cadence of my speech.
There's never been a good counter to the what chant. If there was, they would have stopped by now.
Well, there's never been a good counter to the what chance that makes people stop whatting, period, for the rest of time. But there's been individual cases where there's been what chance and someone says something to the crowd and they stop whatting.
It's like very few and far between they're able to do that.
Yeah.
Let's see here. We've sort of answered the question of who should be on the men's side of it. We'll just answer it again. Dave Matushek, if Mickey James is representing the Impact, if Mickey James is representing Impact at the Rumble, who else should make a stand for the same promotion in the men's side? Callahan.
W. Morrissey.
W. Morrissey.
I don't know. Sammy's cleared to wrestle. He broke his ankle.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you're right. W. Morris.
Or Ed Edwards. Put Ed Edwards in the Rumble.
Nobody would know who he is. Yeah, that would be the most clue. They'd be like, "Oh, is this the NXT 2.0 guy? Is that Von Wagner?" Oh, the enforcer here leaves a question, and he says, "Can I bet on this Q&A thread?"
Oh,
you gotta call 1-800. Get your shit sorted out.
Step away, enforcer. Step away.
Yeah. Let's see here. Wolfpack for life. Boy, you guys have some deep premises here. With Roman being a constant draw, and ever since CM Punk returned, AEW ratings have not gone up. Was the internet wrong about who to push in WWE 2014 between the two of them?
Wow.
There's a lot to unpack there, Wolfpack for life.
Is.
So I disagree with the premise that CM Punk's return didn't affect AEW's ratings because we don't know what AEW's ratings would be without him or Bryan Danielson or Adam Cole. They could be in NXT 2.0 territory. They're always hovering around 1 million. They took a dip during the period where they went live on both coasts because we all knew it was like a 30% dip if you look at Brandon Thurston's numbers.
It was a dip.
So I will say this. I am, and then you can go. I believe that a properly pushed Roman Reigns, like with good creative behind him, would probably be a bigger draw than CM Punk. That being said, I feel like CM Punk being pushed would have been a better deal than Roman the way he was pushed.
Yeah. You also got to consider,
although he did sell a lot of merch, so I don't know.
Yeah, you also got to consider WWE. They're the established brand name. AEW, despite signing all these people, upstart brand. You know, as we've seen for years, generations, even.
Mm-hmm.
People, you know, if you know what a brand name is, over at upstart thing, you might just go with the brand name because you know what you're getting. You know, whereas a new thing, you don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
WWE still provides the largest platform because of that brand name factor. AEW doesn't have that still. So you know, like if AEW started 5 years earlier somehow, and Punk was just signing now, and you know, and AEW was established as a solid brand name in the wrestling world, and then Punk joined, then who knows? Who knows?
Yeah.
You know, AEW is still a burgeoning company. You know, they're only in their third year. So,
and on top of that, I never felt like, and I don't know that he ever would have been, because he makes the point here that CM Punk wasn't a ratings draw when he was WWE champion. But if you look at what was going on at the time, he was the WWE champion. But I don't know. I mean,
ratings. I know ratings back then were way higher than they are now.
Yeah, but compared to where they were before and after, I understand the point. Same with Daniel Bryan's ascent.
Yeah,
ratings didn't really increase, even though it was really good. It was actually pretty decent creative for during that 8 months.
Yeah. And you look at, you know, people all over the place were doing Yes Chance. You know.
Yeah. I don't know. There's too much here to like really.
Yeah, that's like a whole video.
You know. Yeah, exactly. So
that would require research and such.
Because I mean, look, even when CM Punk was champion for like 460 days, I loved it. That was awesome. But like, as soon as The Rock entered the picture, you knew how that was going to go down.
Yeah. Punk
wasn't going to be in that match. He was going to lose that title as soon as they wanted to up the stakes from once in a lifetime to twice in a lifetime. So, you know, you could always get the feeling it's like, okay, well, he's there as champion to satisfy one thing. And I honestly forget what they were doing in the main of, like, if there was like a main event scene with like Cena doing other stuff, or was Punk usually main eventing?
Well, I mean, Punk was like, Cena got hurt, and so Punk had to wrestle Ryback a lot.
Yeah. Well, there you go. So I don't know, man. A lot of that is just difficult to tell. I think Roman is absolutely a draw.
Oh, yeah.
I think Roman, you know, even back then, like his merch was selling like absolute, you know, it was selling like crazy. But no, I don't know. I think if anything, The internet's always been right about one thing, and that's WWE's creative can always be better. They can always be better with the talent they have. There's no reason why their creative is as up and down and inconsistent as it is. It's kind of the same thing. Just I'll land on this point. It's kind of the same thing with Jericho and Kevin Owens. How they had the Universal Championship, and then Goldberg comes along. Well, that's a bigger deal, so let's just go ahead and put it on. You always sort of know that, like, they'll put titles on people, but if something bigger comes along, like Brock Lesnar and against Big E, they're gonna do that.
Or Goldberg versus The Fiend.
Or Goldberg versus The Fiend, or Brock versus Kofi. Hey, we're on Fox, and we've got
Cain Velasquez.
Cain Velasquez. You know, so it's kind of difficult to tell if they're not going to invest and really go all in on making a certain person the guy. Mm-hmm. It's hard to tell, like, if the ratings would be better if they treated CM Punk back then the way they treated Roman Reigns shortly after, where they tried their damnedest to make him the face of the company. So I don't know. Interesting question, but yeah, there's a lot.
There's a lot to unpack there. Yeah.
Let's see here. Gregory fight. This is interesting. Lejeune here has a question. He says, "Have you seen Peacemaker?" And I have not, and you have not.
I have not. No.
Maggie said something about it earlier, how she's not sure what to think of it. Lejeune here says, "I think we might need to revisit the legacy of John Cena for The Numbers Don't Lie." And I haven't seen anything like that would sort of indicate as to what everybody's talking about when it comes to that. But I'm interested to check it out for myself. Sondo says it's great. And Vermilion says it's really good / funny. I'm curious to know what other thoughts are.
Well, I mean, his legacy was pretty high as it was. I mean, is the premise,
it was really high.
Is the premise that him being in Peacemaker would only enhance his legacy? Is that the idea?
Could his legacy have been higher? Didn't we give him like a 9? Did we give him a 9?
I gave him a 10. You gave him a 10.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I don't know where else we could have taken the legacy.
Friendos gave him 9.39. It can't be much higher. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, a lot of people here in chat are saying it's pretty great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see here. Maybe Lejeune didn't realize that we gave him a 10 in legacy.
Could be.
Let's see here. Gregory Fiella. Who has a better chance of defending their title at the Rumble, Roman or Brock?
Who has a better chance of defending their title at the Rumble? Or successfully defending?
Sorry, successfully defending, yeah.
At this point, I'm going to say Roman. I'm thinking right now the reason they brought Seth over, not kayfabe, but, internally, is to enhance Roman even further by beating the one guy he's never beaten.
Okay. I think you're probably right. Although they keep on rerunning, like tonight for the recap, they very specifically reran Brock saying, let's do title for title.
Yeah.
I still would not be shocked if they did that.
Yeah.
You have whatever the biggest women's title is night one, and you don't relegate one of the titles to night two. You have title and title. The main event night two.
The issue with that, though, is that the men's rumble is effectively meaningless. You got to have
that. Yeah, that's true. That is true.
You got to have one of them, either Brock or Roman, defend their title against whoever wins the rumble.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hunter V with the sub. Thank you so much.
So many moving pieces this year.
Truly is. Truly is.
I really dig that about it, though. And here's the thing. I actually think, because Heyman's involved, I think they do have a plan. I think that they had to change the plan, like to have Brock get that WWE title. But I don't think that was like a big game-changing plan. I think that they were like, hey, we're confronted with a situation. What should we do? And they probably decided when that title change took place at day one, hey, here's the new road to Mania. So I think they do have something in mind.
No, I'm sure they do. I just don't know what it is.
And I don't think it's going to be triple threat.
No, I don't think so. They just did that last year. I don't think they're going to do that again.
I think Roman Brock is that's the match. That's the thing.
It'll be either Brock or Roman defending night one, and then the winner of that moves on. Yeah.
That could be. Let's see here. Xavier Gray asks, why are the Viking Raiders being booked as a team of losers when they've been getting their asses whooped by Baron Corbin and Riddick Moss weeks ago? Yeah, I know. They won that thing, and they just lost to Baron and Moss.
I know. It's like WWE doesn't know how to build up people prior to a title program.
Mm-hmm. Another good question here from Xavier Gray. Where the fuck is Zia Lee? And why is she booked to face Natalya?
That's a good question.
She had that awesome
the lightning thing. That was amazing.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Stevens J says, couldn't Brock just win the Rumble since Roman isn't accepting Brock's match? I mean, I guess he could insert himself into the Rumble. I guess they could do that. Aeronautical, if the winner of the Rumble can challenge for any title, then they can do a title versus title at WrestleMania and have the Rumble winner challenge the 24/7 title. My goodness. The main event WrestleMania.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be something if Brock opens the Rumble pay-per-view? Mm-hmm. Charlotte called it a pay-per-view. She didn't call it a live special.
Yeah. Premium live event.
Yeah, premium live event. Brock opens by successfully defending against Lashley. Enters the Rumble anyways, wins it. Mm-hmm. Gets his magic. That is ridiculous.
I know.
That's ridiculous. Would they do that?
I don't know. Zondo says, from the 2011 Money in the Bank pay-per-view that CM Punk won the title from Cena to the pay-per-view, he lost the title to against The Rock in 2013. Punk only main evented 10 pay-per-views, 4 not counting main events involving Cena or Rock.
What a great stat here. Only main evented 10 pay-per-views, 4 not counting main events involving. Wow. Yeah. I always remember I was always really into that. I was like, okay, that's cool. I'm glad he's got the title, and I'm glad that he was doing really good work. Mm-hmm. Whether he was a good guy or bad guy when he was with Heyman or not, he was doing such good work. But yeah, it always felt like it was secondary to something else.
Yep.
Oh, wow. This is a great question. Blake Whitehouse. Oh, no. Hold on a second. Wizard of Smoke says, here's an idea for a first Corey Graves storyline. He squashes Madcap and joins Baron Corbin.
Oh my goodness!
I don't want Corey anywhere near those guys. This is a great question. Blake Whitehouse says, since it's hard to believe the Shield debuted 10 years ago,
that is crazy.
Which other wrestlers feel like they just started but have been there longer than you realize?
Kevin Owens.
Oh, okay, yeah.
What, he showed up in NXT in 2014, I think?
Yeah, he's done a lot.
It's hard to believe it's been 8 years.
Yeah.
Because it still feels like, I know he's done a lot. It still feels like there's so much more he could do.
Yeah. Did they have a draft in 2018? Who were the NXT call-ups in 2018? They did that. They did those weird the 6 call-ups, didn't they? In 20, the McMahon shakeup was late 2018. Mm-hmm. Golly, it's like so many people like Nikki Cross. I feel like she hasn't been there that long, and yet that was late 2018.
It's 3+ years ago. Yeah. 5-second pose. Get the sub to Brew Crew Bomber. Thank you so much.
It still feels like Aleister Black only got called up like 2 years ago. When did he get called up?
It was shortly after that. It was early 2019.
Okay, so it was 3 years ago. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's going to do it for us. Twitch chat, stick around for a second. We'll be around. Till next time, we'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.